to your point, because you said you had a specific interaction in New York, CNN posted an article that said working class people of color may determine MAGA's future.
Yeah.
That some of the things that MAGA does, like pardoning Larry Hoover, pardoning NBA YoungBoy, right? Really leaning on cultural things, because a lot of times working class communities of color are the more conservative, right? Leaning on, like, be afraid of these trans people, be afraid of these queer people, like, as we enter into Pride, right?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting because, again, we see, to me, the white supremacy inside of MAGA is not only so clear. Like, I saw a video where one of these Trump supporters had all this MAGA shit on his car and had a noose, like an actual literal noose hanging from his car.
Yeah.
So again, we see the outright racism and white supremacy, but what was the argument? You said you had a Dominican Uber driver, and what was his argument?
So he was a nice guy. Had a conversation. We were talking on the way to JFK, and he asked me what I did, and then I started telling him. He's like, "Oh, he's like, you're in politics?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Me too. I like Trump. Like, I'm a Trump supporter." I was like, "You bugging?" He's like, "Maybe I am. Maybe I'm bugging." He's like, "I don't want to get you started. I don't want to get started." I was like, "No, let's have the conversation." Right. I was like, "What is so enticing for you as a Dominican that's?"
Maybe he wants to go back home.
So
he wants a free trip back to the Dominican Republic.
That's kind of the point I was saying. That's kind of the point I got to. He was like, "Well, you just got to give him time." I'm like, "Well, you already had a term."
Right.
And he's over 100 days into his current term.
Yeah.
What more time do you need? He's like, well, you just have to give him time for his plans to work. I'm like, well, I asked him, what plans do you want to work? I'm like, because you just seen he removed the protective status for these Venezuelans, these Colombians, these Cubans, and these Haitians to take their and remove their protective parole under the Immigration Act. And he was like, well, that's not really about me. I'm like, how? You're Dominican. Your family can be at risk about this. He was like, yeah, well, my dad has property in the Dominican Republic. I'm like, but you're not explaining to me why this is giving you reason to support and vote for Trump when you literally put you and your family and your loved ones at risk. His response was, I don't want to get started on this.
So he didn't have
any grounds. Yeah. And I think it's interesting whenever these Trump supporters say you have to give him time, is because they've run out of excuses on why they voted for him.
Right.
And the only thing left they say is, well, hopefully we'll make it through this. Hopefully we'll get what was promised to us. Hopefully we'll be in an opportunity, or we'll be in a position where we're presented with the opportunity to justify our vote, be through policy or whatever. But those moments aren't coming for you lot.
I'm gonna shoot some people bail.
Okay. And are those people Donald Trump and Elon Musk?
Yes. No.
Oh shit.
I was having conversations. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of election wrap up, and a lot of working class, a lot of labor folks did support Trump last go around. Mm-hmm. And a part of that was because organizations like a lot of developers, National Restaurant Association, a lot of these big donors came out for the Democrats. And as a result of that, the Democrats moved away from a lot of pro-labor policies.
Right, yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so you had a lot of working class people feel abandoned by the Democrats. Yes. And then you had Republicans come in and be like, no tax on tips.
Yes.
Let's talk about your restoring your pension. Right. So those things signal to a lot of working class people that this is their party, right?
Right. And clearly, like, the big thing when we look at the 2024 election was, although the economy was performing well worldwide, for regular working class people, people were feeling more pressed. And when Kamala basically said she's not going to do anything differently from Biden's economic policies, people felt like, I want it to be better economically. I'll try and see if Donald Trump has these answers. Now, he hasn't had them, but here we are.
When that report came out and said homelessness had skyrocketed in America, and the Harris administration said there was nothing they were going to do to pivot but give people loans for like, excuse me, what? Right? So I do think that there is that. I will always stand on business and say, when Biden got into office and he promised people $2,000 and they did not get their $2,000, he lost the election that day.
Yeah.
I will always stand on that because people came out because of the financial benefit. Remember, like, you get something for your vote.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you're getting nothing for your vote now. And so there are a lot of working class people who come around to Trump because he has talked about, oh, once we get, there is this conversation, and I see a lot of far right media, they're like, oh, once we get all the immigrants rounded up, then you'll be able to get those jobs.
Right.
Then you'll be able to have their housing.
Right.
Then it's the immigrants who've taken this stuff away from you. And so there is a message and a cohesion to what Trump is doing as he's talking to people.
Yeah.
Is it the reality? Absolutely not. Do we understand he is lying to people and he's pitting people against each other? Yes. But for people who are desperate and going through it, and their options are a person who's saying, oh, everything is great, sunshine and rainbows, and a person's like, everything is effed up right now, but we can change it, they're going to go with the person that can change it.
100%.
And
yes.
I do think that a lot of people are leaning into white supremacy,
100%.
transphobia, and homophobia because they believe that if they do these things, then they get to be picked by the Republican Party,
right?
And then they get to be chosen for that lottery. You have to,
but it was also this thing of like everybody felt like a lot of these immigrant communities felt like it's not going to be us.
Yeah. Correct.
And what you're seeing, there was this story that came out that was like this Chinese immigrant that was in Missouri. And she was somebody that was like a really integral part of this Missouri community. She went to an immigration arrangement and never came back and got arrested. Oh, wow. And so this community is like, this white community is like rallying around this Chinese woman. And their thing was, oh, we didn't think, it was like 95% of the people here voted for Donald Trump, but we didn't think Trump was going to get immigrants like her. Yeah. People that like worked the job, work hard, never was a problem, was part of their community. They were like, we didn't think she was going to go. Or they were, we've had people that was like, I voted for Trump. I didn't think he was going to come from my family or my family members. But obviously he is. Is that going to change the direction of some of these working class black and brown communities, Miracle, do you think?
I don't think it, because if it hasn't now, as it hasn't yet, it's not going to. I think these people are still jaded under the impression that it's not me. Like, right, I think they feel special enough, like, they're going to get skipped over. Like, they're not going to come for me.
I don't know. I mean, we saw, there was video in San Diego where ICE, super militarized, rolled up on a restaurant in San Diego. And this was, again, like, it's interesting to see these like white communities kind of responding.
Yeah, it is very fascinating.
To these, quote unquote immigrants, I guess maybe the good ones. I don't know. Yeah. But these white folks came out, and there was black folks too in San Diego, and like ran ICE off the block in protection of this restaurant, because it was a restaurant that does a lot in the community. It was a restaurant that people really mess with. So it is interesting to see, and because we're hearing reports that there's pressure on ICE to arrest even more people. Right. That Stephen Miller like dressed down ICE officials saying y'all aren't arresting enough immigrants, while the courts are clogged, while like courts are saying these people can't be sent away. And again, like, are folks gonna want these jobs? I don't know. Is this work? I mean, obviously it worked in the sense of Trump did increase his black and brown base, and in many ways also increase his Muslim Arab base. He did. Is that going to work the next time?
Next time meaning what?
Well, when he runs illegally in 2028.
He said he wasn't going to do that no more.
No. Anyway. Yeah. Is that going to work the next time? Or maybe whoever he chooses to run?
No, I think people are really falling out favor fast. I think that what we have seen in the past 6 months is something we haven't seen before. Is a lot of independent media stand up and basically like, this is what's happening. Yeah. And we're just gonna put it out, right? And we're going to speak truth to power. And so now people are like, oh wait, now we have questions. Now we know what's going on. And so I didn't want to say in regards to earlier, Trump always announces a lottery. Like, you have a lottery, for this $5 million, a lottery for this $5,000. he doesn't believe in like this universal, like everyone gets a fair shot, everyone has a chance. This is a lottery system, and this lottery system is basically what is making people desperate to like be in line in good graces.
It's like the Hunger Games.
And I think people are going to get really exacerbated by that, right? Because you have to get your hopes up, then your hopes down. You have to like you have to perform all this whiteness to get this person to see you,
right?
And then it's not going to pan out. And I think people are just exhausted. And what I fear even more than people being exhausted is that people are desperate.
Yeah.
And I
think we're seeing that with, violence here. You're seeing, desperate people, to me, like, mentally ill folks, targeting different groups in different ways. I mean, we're seeing that.
And so that's what I fear is about to become the norm. And that's going to force Trump to either act or step aside. I don't see him doing another term.
Wow.
I don't see his term ending as nicely as the last term did.
But it is wild as bad as Trump is doing, that it's still like the Democrats still don't seem to be able to get any type of foothold. It's kind of crazy. I mean, this dude is doing as bad as you can
because
do.
they support it. And this is the thing we have to be very honest about. Our Democratic Party was sold out to the Republican donors.
Yes.
And now that they're trying to figure out who they are, you can't go to your Republican donor and be like, I'm about to run on trans rights. Yeah. I'm about to run on immigrants' rights. They can't do anything. It was reported that Hakeem Jeffries told people to stop going out the country to sit with immigrants, to stop going to these ICE facilities, to stop doing these inspections that you're constitutionally required to do, because it's not in the grand scheme of things. I was talking to someone here who's a representative in Pennsylvania, and he was like, I just took him out here by myself. Like the party is not supporting me, is not protecting me, because I'm taking these stances that are outside of what the party is advocating for. And so the party is like literally like, we're just gonna coast through. Like, what is it? Just keep swimming. It's like, no, bitch, we are not just keep Nemo.
Waiting. Right. Meanwhile, it's interesting because I forget the guy who was running the DNC. He's a black dude from South Carolina.
Jamie.
He just came out and was like, they wasn't really listening to me, whatever. But it's like,
Can I just say I feel so vindicated? And I know it's not about me because the world is falling apart. But I feel like for a year and a half, I raised the alarm of what was going on in our democracy and what needed to change. And everybody said I was being mean, I was being petty, I was being a bully. I just was like so laser focused on geopolitical issues. On this show. But like, I'm telling you, nobody was getting into this campaign, and so many people.
You were the canary in the coal mine.
Had so many, but like so many great ideas, and I think that like when we're talking about this idea that people are literally being kidnapped and disappeared off the street, it is because we sold out our party to a donor class that we literally could just all come together as Democrats and say, you know what, so we're going to adopt Citizens United as a party platform, and no one's going to be able to run as a Democrat and take billionaire donor money. Nobody's gonna be able to run as a Democrat and have this type of IE set up. You could do that, and we didn't, because I think it was Chris Cuomo, who I actually do not even like, was talking about like, look at the DNC convention, look up at the top of all these billion-dollar suites that you had, like millions and millions of dollars, and look where the people are. We have sold out our party, and now we're trying to find a way to create a party that's going to work for us, and it's like they don't. Like that Hakeem Jeffries interview, and they were like, it was like, we will in some time figure out how we are going to stop rhyming and go to work. This almost makes me a racist Republican. Like, sir, stop rhyming and do your job.
Is this MAGA Miracle?
Get up and do something. Like, I just do not understand.